Hi friends, Arlita Arelli here, sharing this week's Everyday Discipleship Moment. I had hoped to get this video out earlier in the week because we're celebrating something now. We're in this season in the Christian calendar called Lent. This started this past Wednesday on Ash Wednesday. But for those of us here in Texas, this week has been a bit of a adventure challenge. It's been a season. So the loss of power, water, electricity, it was kind of difficult to put this video out before today. But I hope you enjoy these next few minutes together where I talk about the season of Lent and different ways that we can practice it and invite Jesus into this season. So historically, Lent has been a part of the Christian calendar for centuries. I don't think in my research, I don't think they know exactly when it started to officially be celebrated, but it's often a time that's been celebrated in the Catholic tradition of the Christian faith, as well as some other more liturgical traditions. I grew up Presbyterian, and it was something that my family did growing up. So Lent typically is a season where people kind of fast from something. They give up something for Lent, and oftentimes it can be just as simple as that, and maybe as insignificant, like there's not really any connection to why we're doing that. And so I just wanted to kind of unpack it a little bit and give you some resources and tools so that it feels like a very approachable thing in your discipleship, how you follow Jesus in this practice, this season of Lent. And so Jesus, as we know in the scriptures and the Gospels, they share that Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist, and then he went into the wilderness, and over the course of 40 days, he fasted, but he was also tempted by the enemy over the course of those 40 days. And at the end of that time is when he kind of came out of the wilderness and began his public ministry. And so this season is from Ash Wednesday, which was this past Wednesday, through Easter Sunday, the Resurrection Sunday, the most kind of celebrated day in the Christian calendar, the day we celebrate that Jesus is risen, he's alive. Oftentimes Lent can kind of feel like drudgery or obligation or I know there's a lot of religious rule around it, and it really can actually be a time where we draw closer to Jesus and prepare our hearts and our minds and our bodies for the celebration that we know is to come. Thankfully, on this side of history, we know about Resurrection Sunday. We know that Jesus is alive today, and so we celebrate this time of Lent in reflection and preparation. And I kind of like that right now in this season that we're in, as we kind of come out of this COVID time, and then for us Texans who experienced this past week with the effects of winter weather that we weren't prepared for in many aspects. This is a time of preparation and looking to how we can invite Jesus into our current season and situation and look forward to things to come. Look forward to things growing and fruit being born in the coming days ahead. So as I mentioned earlier, growing up, my family would often give up something for Lent. When I was a kid, I attempted to give up homework one time. We would often, at family dinner or something like that, share what we were planning on giving up. So that was quickly nixed. Maybe one year I tried to give up vegetables. But oftentimes it was something that maybe I really loved a lot. Like as a kid, maybe I liked soda, so I gave up soda for Lent. Or I used to chew gum all the time. And so one year for Lent, I gave up chewing gum. And it was really just a time to really sacrifice. Jesus sacrificed everything for us, not just the 40 days, but also his life. But then when I felt that kind of pang or that hunger pain of wanting the gum or wanting whatever it was, I would remember that what Jesus did for me. And that's kind of as far as it went for me growing up. But as I've learned more about it over the last few years, and maybe even as some non-denominational churches have kind of relooked at this ancient practice and tradition, they've kind of brought some new life and some new ways of looking at it. And it's not always just about giving up, which I think is really valid and healthy even to a degree, but also about what can we add in? One of the things that Jesus did when he was in the wilderness was when the enemy tempted him, he was able to respond because he knew the scriptures. And so I'm just going to give a couple of quick practices that you can adopt during the season. You don't have to do all of them. I usually like to pick one or two. And so I like to fast from something. Sometimes that's food related, and sometimes I'm not in the best place to do a food type thing, but I might fast from social media or playing a game on my phone or something like that. So some type of fast really helps me kind of remember the sacrifice of Jesus and invite Jesus into those places. And then the second thing is you can choose your own adventure, if you will, but a practice to add in, to welcome Jesus into all of life. And so for me, I've been desiring to memorize a verse in Deuteronomy 6 about loving the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And so if I just read that verse every single day from now until Easter, I will have it memorized. It'll be stored up in my heart and my mind. And so when I have moments that I really don't know how to pray even, or in a situation where I feel lost, that scripture verse is going to come to mind in the same way that it did for Jesus when he was tempted in the desert. So picking a scripture verse and committing to just read it every day, even if you don't actually memorize it, but just the simple rhythm of reading that one verse every day for the next 40 days will really be impactful for you and your relationship with Jesus and with the world, because this will be stored up in your heart and you'll kind of look at people and situations differently. Another option is like John did a everyday discipleship moment a couple weeks ago, but practicing the examine, asking Jesus every day, where was he at work in the day? Where did I feel his love for me that day? And where did I feel like maybe drained, or the life of his life kind of pulled from me? We kind of call it sometimes highlights and lowlights, or low darks, as our son calls it. Just different things like, where did we see God present and active and alive, and where did life get drained from us? And reflecting and bringing all those to Jesus and asking him to kind of minister to us through that. Another option is to pray for our neighbors and friends. We've done this in the past in our church, and we're going to be doing it again in the next couple of weeks as part of our sermon series. But if you live in a neighborhood, you have neighbors across from you, behind you, next to you, and praying for those people. I also like just choosing 5 people because I have 5 fingers on my hand. And it's then easy to quickly remember them and just say a quick prayer for them each day. So I can commit for the next 40 days that I'm going to pray for these 5 people or my 8 neighbors around me. And just every day, it doesn't have to be a long prayer, but something, Lord, bless that family next door, or the family behind us that the man is elderly and I don't even know his name. Lord, give me opportunity to even get to know him and pray for him by name. And then lastly, you can also pray for Mission Vineyard. This is a great opportunity to seek the Lord on behalf of our church. Or if you're watching this video and you don't attend Mission Vineyard, pray for the church at large or pray for the local church you're a part of. But it's a challenging time for everybody in this world, but also leaders face different hurdles and obstacles along the way, and praying for them, praying for the leadership of the church, not just the pastors, praying for the vision and the mission of the church, praying for a facility where we could have warming centers if we ever have cold weather again, or be able to do food outreaches differently than we can do right now. However you feel led, but taking this time during Lent to kind of set apart some time to pray for the church or for your neighbors or even for yourself. You're going to commit to these next 40 days to praying. And so that's just a simple way how I like to practice Lent. So I fast from something and I pray for something, or adopt one of these other practices like the examine. So it doesn't have to be hard or like a legalistic type of work to do, but a way to welcome Jesus into life with some different practices and tools. I hope you have a great week. Thanks.